Welcome back to Broken Bobby's Transformation Page. If you are new to the page, in 1990 I became involved in the drug gang world. From 92 to '06, I spent a lot of time incarcerated. I tell these stories to let you know it don't have to be you. If you're young and thinking about trying something or you're figuring out how to get out, these are my stories of this lifestyle and how it affected me, and eventually I got out and transformed my life. So let's get into today's story. So let's get into today's video. Today we are talking about when CDCR executed the leader of the Crips. Now, let me get into a little bit of history. It was Stanley Tuki Williams, and it was, I want to say, December 12th, 2005. But let's get into a little bit of history on Tookie, as I found through news articles and such. So he was sent to YA at a young age in the 60s, and he was released in 1971. He had built quite a reputation for himself. He got into bodybuilding and stuff. He was a really large guy. When he got out, he was running the West Side Crips out of Los Angeles, and there was another individual named Raymond Washington, and both of them, their reputations preceded them. And Washington was Washington High School, as a matter of coincidence, and that's where there was a lot of gang activity there, and they decided to merge the two gangs to become like a super gang of sorts, and to get rid of all the other gangs that were terrorizing the black individuals, I guess, at that time. Now, like I said, this is all from news articles and stuff, so like I'm giving it to you as accurately as I can. If you like this sort of content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, smash that like button, and please feel free to comment. I'm sure some of you probably know this history a lot better than I can find in a news article. The reason I'm on this topic today is there was a execution recently. I believe it was in like Alabama, where they injected the guy with nitrogen, and I guess that execution didn't go so well as they thought it was. It was a new method of doing the executions, and it was supposed to be better, but it didn't work that way. But so it made me think of this, and it made me think of being on the yard when that execution happened, and the way CDCR handled things. So, they basically aligned these two gangs to create this super gang, and basically they became the co-founders of the Crips in general. Obviously, there's a lot of subsets of the Crips now, and shout out to the Crips. I tell this story with all due respect. So in '79, Tookie was arrested again, and he was charged with 2 robberies that resulted in 4 murders, allegedly. Now, Tookie never admitted to any of these crimes, but I wouldn't expect anything different when you're fighting the case. But the thing about that is, even later on, a lot of times people will have that come to Jesus moment, or whatever it may be, and later on down the line they'll admit that, yeah, they did it, but he never admitted to these crimes. So it kind of makes you wonder. Now, so Tookie was sent to death row in San Quentin after he was convicted in 1981 of these crimes, where he would spend 25 years on death row. And there's a lot of documented stuff about what had happened there, and his leadership and other leaders in his organization, bumping heads and such. But I don't really know a lot about that. I know if you go over to Paradigm Media and check out Boxer, he has some good stories about being on the yard with him and some of the stuff that occurred there. So if you want to get more in depth, you may want to go over and check out his story on Tookie, and I think it was Little Feet, and the beef that was going on there. Now, later on in life, Tookie would go on to write 4 books from death row advocating against gang violence and, just trying to help the youth to not go down the same path that he did. Tookie went on to write books and advocate against gangs and gang violence and the youth joining gangs. And he was actually nominated for 4 Nobel Peace Prizes in literature. I don't think he ever got the prize, but he was. That's pretty amazing coming from the background that he came from to, get that recognition. I mean, just being nominated for one of those prizes is like it's not typically something that would happen to somebody that's on death row in prison, sitting from a jail cell in San Quentin. So that's very remarkable. And it sounded like he really was, maybe trying to make up for some bad karma from the past, perhaps. I know that's a big thing with me because I put out a lot of really bad karma when I was out there doing my thing. So, what comes around goes around. But, so I was in McFarland when this execution took place. And, this is a very low level security housing. It's like a level 1, basically. Like, it definitely wasn't a hardcore type of place. But I know that for about at least a couple days, maybe a week, they had the Crips on lockdown, which, when you're living in dorm housing, lockdown's kind of a joke. Like you're on bunk status, basically. And, like you can only, like they bring the food to the dorm rather than you go into the chow hall, and like you can't go out the yard and stuff, but it's not like you're locked in a cell and not able to do anything. Of the Crips that were there, I noticed that, they weren't their normal selves, I guess you would say. I mean, I guess it affected them in some way. But, most of these guys that were there were youngsters. So I doubt any of them actually knew him. I think everybody knows the story of Tookie and, him being on death row and all of that stuff. But, like it was, from what I had heard, there was a statewide lockdown during this period of all the Crips. Now, if you know something different, if you were in prison at that time on one of the higher level yards, drop a comment and let me know what they were doing in the joint you were in. Like I said, I was in a real low level facility place, so I don't really. It's hard to gauge, what the difference might be. So that is the story for the day. Rest in peace, Tookie. So to summarize it all, on early Tuesday morning, December 13th, 2005, Stanley Tuki Williams was executed with a lethal injection at San Quentin State Prison. Last-minute appeals that were sent to Governor Schwarzenegger that were denied, which is standard typically when there is an execution going to be performed. Tookie Williams was one of the last people in California actually to be executed. I believe the next one was later on in 2006. And then in 2014, the California Supreme Court made a ruling saying that it was unhumane to execute people, and they put a stay on executions. So you guys know my message. It's just a matter of making good decisions and compounding those good decisions and doing our best not to make bad decisions. And if you practice this, then you won't have to worry about being in situations like this or, being on these prison yards. So I hope you enjoyed today's story, and don't look at the mountain. Just start climbing.